would,
Yeah,
because
we're recording now, Roy.
Okay, thank you, Carla. So Nafisa, you're right in the middle of something, so go ahead.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say is, like, for instance, last year, I don't know if you came in when I said I had made that investment in this marketing thing to get across Canada. I mean, I didn't know, right? I just thought, oh, that looks good. And the funny thing is, I didn't ask myself the same questions I would have asked a client. So
Right.
I think that's why, you know, like I say, you can't cut your own hair. So you always want to make sure that you're tossing those things off of somebody that you respect, whether it's your own coach or marketing strategist or a joint venture partner, or, you know, not your spouse who just.
Oh yeah, they'll say yes to anything. Yeah, honey, does this make me look fat? No.
Exactly, right? So, and I think at the end of it, it's always when we look at what we want to build in our business. And Carla, you've mentioned it before, like there's a difference between positioning and posturing too, right?
Huge difference.
Ooh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Turn people away because there's not a lot of authenticity behind it.
Yeah.
And you can spend a lot of money thinking you're positioning yourself and accidentally be repelling your ideal clients. So
well, especially if they're
peace.
Go ahead. Yeah. No, especially if they're mimicking what they're seeing happen, but that person, you know, has a strategy behind that. It's not just what you're seeing. And then some don't. Some are really doing it because that's what they think is going to attract customers. And it may do that at first, but long term, it will hurt their credibility. And the one thing about positioning is that the main, when it comes to positioning as a marketing strategy, the main focus is credibility. That's what it should be, not impressing, but credibility, creating that credibility. It's like you mentioned, Roy, know, like, and trust. You know, you've been known now, and now you have impressed upon me and Nafisa your techie skills on Blab with the recording.
I have yet to prove it, so it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to prove it. Yeah.
Well, you know, you're a few steps ahead of us. So you know, one of the first things to do is to become unforgettable. Well, you just did that.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I don't know where you ladies are at the beginning, in the middle, or towards the end of your show.
We just started.
Carla. Huh?
We started. Yeah.
Oh, you just started? Oh, good. I'm catching you at a good time because, boy, I can already see the conversation going in many, many directions, but I want to stay focused. So first thing I want to say is the best acronym or definition I've ever heard for the word focus is follow one course until successful.
Yes.
That changed my daily to-do list. It did. It absolutely did. I love one-liners. I love acronyms. I love learning. I want to be a better version of myself today than I was yesterday. And of course, I want to be a better version of myself tomorrow than I am today. And the only way that I'm going to do this is to do exactly what Nasifa just said about yourself and or finding people like yourself to give you feedback. We can't see our own stuff. We don't know if our stuff is up to snuff, right?
But I'm so curious, Roy, because you have. I love your description. So I want to know a little bit about what you do. It's a speed relationship guy.
Are you familiar with Susan Haro?
No.
Nope.
She's one of the top media trainers on the planet as far as I'm concerned. So if you Google her, it's Harro, Susan.
Oh, familiar now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I asked her. I was on a webinar with her one time, and I love webinars. I love networking, first of all. So obviously, I'm either going to be effective or not so much effective. 20 years ago, I'm 58 years young today. When I turned 38.
Birthday.
Well, not today.
Oh.
I mean today
at this point. At this point.
This year. Sorry. See. So sometimes people don't exactly understand where you're coming from because you come from a different place. And anyway, I come from a place all my own. I need my own translator, even though I speak a good English. Is that right? Good English? No, I'm just kidding.
English well, yeah.
So asking me about my moniker, the speed relationship guy, it actually does what I want it to do in most cases, and that is to get people to ask me questions about it, right? Because that's what we all want to do. Yes. I needed to create curiosity. And so some people say, is that your elevator speech? Is that your this or that? And some people say you should have one. Others say you shouldn't have one. I don't know. All I know is this. If you don't brand yourself, someone else will. And you may not like it. So Go with that. I know you want to say something to that.
Well,
go with that, and I'll go.
Well, because that's one of the most common mistakes people do when it comes to positioning and marketing is to ignore positioning, because you're already being positioned and you're being placed in a category by someone else. So they don't have enough information about you to know where exactly you want to be in their mind, and that's really what's going to help you leverage your uniqueness, like you have.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. Like I have. Okay, so can you unpack that for me? Because I'm a feedback guy too, so I love feedback. So what have I done already in your mind that I may not have done in anybody else's mind for the short time that you've known me?
Well, you've already represented a lot of your brand by the way you came into when you came in. The first questions you started asking were the connecting and the creating the relationship, finding
Can I join you?
Yeah.
Can I? That's the question that when I had my corporate career, and I used to say that there's two questions that every successful in the corporate environment will ask, because in the corporate world, relationships and politics and all of that stuff, right? Is, can I join you? And are you comfortable with that? And because that really, it creates community right away. If you just walk up to somebody, they might feel pulled back, but when you say, can I join you? You want to create that welcoming, and that was the first thing you did. You said, can I join you? And I love it. That was how you positioned yourself.
Yeah, I love my wife taught me this about asking permission. So some people say, Roy, I like asking for permission ahead of time, even if they say no. And some people say, Roy, I don't like asking for permission because they may say no. So then I'll go ahead and I'll do it anyway, and then I'll ask for forgiveness. I don't know which camp you two belong to. You can unpack that in just a second. But when possible, I want to ask for permission. When not possible, I will ask for forgiveness if that's necessary, because I'm going to do what I'm going to do based on my perception of what is. I may be a little further along in the journey than you, and you may not understand where I'm coming from, and it's going to take me 2 or 3 hours to unpack this. Rather than do that, I'll just go ahead and do it if I have that perception of yourself. So yes, I asked for permission to join you. As soon as I got on here, I said, I'm going to be audio only. Is that okay? Because I'm weird. I'm not a weirdo, as my friend likes to say, but I am weird.
So
and
if
that's
I would
okay.
have said, I would have said no, it can't be audio only.
I would have been great with that.
I'm sorry.
I would have been fine. I would have been fine with that, and then followed you anyway. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm just joking.
For the most part, I think this platform is people friendly. Yeah. I think people will say yes to you if you ask. And then if you turn out to be a troll or a jerk, or worse, if that's even possible, then of course you've got this little bounce button. I call it the bounce button to be super politically correct. But some people call it the eject button or the you're out of here button, right? And that's great. That gives us all a little bit of protection. I'll go into a little bit more on what you can do with all that, because you can block people who come on here and want to show their genitalia. Yeah. That happens, going to happen. But anyway, that's part of what we have protection against. Okay, so I came on here, asked you for permission, you gave me permission, so now I'm going to take over your show, or not. And people have said to me, Roy, you're walking all over their toes. You're stepping on their toes. Don't do that. Don't be that. Don't be yourself. Be this person. So let me start off by saying this: the greatest discovery that I have made, not only in business but in life, is that if I want to have the best opportunity to have an interpersonal relationship that goes to its depth, breadth, and width, is for me to do one thing. I'm going to let you be you. And hopefully you will let me be me. Okay, now let me unpack that very quickly. That doesn't mean you get to be your, character flawed self. I'm not talking about that.
No,
character
there has
flaws,
to be balance. There's
right. Right. If you're a rude person, if you're a dishonest person, fix it. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about, your personality style. Let me be me. If I'm a little bit verbose, okay, tell me I'm verbose. I'll cut it down for you. Some people like it, some people don't. I don't know where the Goldilocks spot is. Sometimes I'm too talkative, and sometimes I'm not talkative enough. And then they'll look at me and go, "You need to unpack that a little bit more."
Well,
so anyway,
talk to me and tell me about your relationship.
Okay, so Susan said, So I asked Susan Haro about this, one of the best media trainers on the planet, in my opinion. So I asked her about it. I said, "Could you give me some feedback on that?" And she did what you did. She said, it's curious. What is the speed relationship guy? So then I go to unpack it a little bit more. So I say, I'm the speed relationship guy, building relationships at the speed of sound.
Mm-hmm.
the sound of your voice and the sound of my voice. Does that help you a little bit more?
No.
That's good. That's good. That's good, because I want to help people do what a lot of people don't know how to do, and that is to build relationships.
Okay.
See, I'm building a relationship with Carla, and I'm building a relationship with Nasifa.
So do you do like relationship marketing or what?
I help people to be found by the people that need to find them. My big vision is to put a people search engine together on the planet so that people can tell me three things. Who are you? What do you do? And who do you want to meet? And hopefully my search engine and my training and teaching and coaching and whatever, all of that stuff, I don't want to be your mentor per se. I don't want to be your coach per se. I don't want to be your trainer per se. I want to be your friend who educates you. And I've got a word for that. Friend-education. Or friend-educator. Yeah. I just want to, friends educating themselves. That's all I want to do.
Let me, because this is a really cool case study. You've become a case study now for the show.
Nice.
So one of the things that when it comes to positioning is, deciding to become unforgettable, right?
Yes.
To define your first in class position. So how are you first, or some people call it best in class, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if you're familiar with the way NyQuil became so, well known. And
I do not.
Well, when NyQuil came out, when they the goal for NyQuil was to become the strongest prescription medicine on the market, over the counter, right? They wanted to corner that. That was their goal. Well, they succeeded so fabulously that they ended up being too strong for people to use during the daytime because it would make people sleepy. And so their sales were not what they expected originally. So what ended up happening is that they rebranded and remarketed, and that's where we got the stuffy head fever medicine so you can sleep better at night.
Right.
And then they corner that, right? That's the first thing you think of. You want to, get some sleep and you're sick, you go and if you take medicine, you go and you buy NyQuil. And then they came out with their DayQuil thing, but they decided, okay, well, we cannot compete with everyone else because we have our disadvantage of people using us during the daytime. So there's no one that really can knock people out throughout the whole night. So that's our market and we're going to own it. And they did. So you are owning your market in that you in your vision that you have, and you're making yourself unforgettable. You're creating curiosity. You're definitely passionate about it because you can, it shows through. Don't you think, Nafisa?
Totally. Well, and that's the thing, right? So it's just it's creating that uniqueness in the market, and that's a very unique vision that you have. And I love that you called it a case study, right? So
yeah,
it's about taking that uniqueness and making profit off of it.
Yeah. So how does this help you when you're in positioning your business, and how have these things that the way that you're marketing and your vision, do you usually lead with it?
So I do exactly like I did here.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I introduce myself to people in this type of a platform, this type of an environment. I don't know if the two of you experienced Google Plus and their Hangouts and their situation over there or anything like that. I was waiting for them to do 4 years ago what Blab is now doing here. I've been here 2 months. I love this platform. I saw it before the big explosion from Periscopers came onto here. There were only Meerkatters in the beginning and a few of us from Google Plus. There must have only been about 100 of us, and we all knew each other. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden the explosion came, and now I get to go in, and when a title impresses me or impresses upon me, that I need to be a part of that, because there may be a person in there that I'm supposed to meet. Yeah. Now, one of the things, and you'll see this, it's my pinned tweet. See, I'm a man of faith, and I believe that God has got a plan, a passion, a purpose, and a path, including people, for me to make it all happen. I cannot do what I want to do on this planet by myself. I need the help of other people. And so I get up every day and I ask this question: who's on God's guest list of who's who for me to meet today? And then I go and I make it happen. I cross people's paths, and hopefully other people will cross my path. And then what I want to do with them is a quick 15-minute meet and greet to see if we're compatible in the sense of human to human. A lot of times you'll see somebody's video, you'll hear some of their audio, you'll see some of their tweets and posts and this and that, and you'll go, wow, so resonate with that person. But then when you get face-to-face with them on the phone or on Skype or in this environment, you're going like, oh my goodness, get me out of here. This does not compute. You understand what I'm trying to say? So,
you know, there's different reasons why people are attracted to different people who are sought after, you know. And I actually did a little thing recently where it has the sought after styles, you know. So you have the master, someone who's really mastered something, and everybody seeks them out because they're a master at it. Usually a pioneer, they were first to market, they were first people who, you know, kind of paved the trail, you know. And then you have people who are maybe, you know, they're not the person that knows everything about that subject, but they're the best. They take a mentorship role very well. You know, they're very good at taking concepts and putting it into context for somebody else and teaching them and bringing them alongside and building them up and, you know, coaching them. And so you have that other type of personality. And then you have the celebrity sought after style. You know, their personality is bigger than life, and they're what you called it friendtainment. Well, with them it's edutainment, right? They're educating and they're entertaining at the same time, and they're going to attract that kind of person that's their learning style. You know, they want to have fun while they're learning. So you have all sorts of different styles. So I think that's interesting. But I saw that you have divine connections on your description, on your
profile bio, yes, description, yes. Yes, so again, divine connections, meaning, see, I believe that two are better than one. Napoleon Hill has proved that to us in his book, Think and Grow Rich. When two people get together, there's a third intangible mind that's created, right? And that's called the mind. Mm-hmm. Call it mindstorming, brainstorming, masterminding, whatever you want to call it. You know, I call it brain dumping. My 3 B's to anything. Anything you want to do on the planet, there should be 3 stages. The first stage is the brain dump. Just dump out of your head anything and everything and put it on the table. And then the other person or persons will do likewise. And then the next stage is the brainstorming stage. And then you take what the other person dumped and go, I like this, I like this, I like this. But these things, forget it. I don't want this. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of brainstorm how the two of you can overlap and work together. And then you get your final B, which is your blueprint. And then you go out and you do it. So
that's a great collaboration model. Love it.
Yeah. And so now, since this is Blab, I say, collaboration, because everything here has to do with Blab. If you are here for any length of time, you will love. If you know Joel Comm, he's already started a lexicon of Blab words. That
really?
It's amazing. It's crazy. But I like the collaboration because it's so easy to collaborate and co-create here with people, because all you got to do is do what I just did. Just jump into something where the 2 of you, the 3 of you, in our case, have a like-mindedness and a similar point B. I know that your point Bs are very similar to mine. I already know that just by your title. And all I have to do is come alongside of you and just dump my brain a little bit on the table for you to say, oh, Roy. And I'm going to ask this the way that I always ask it. So please bear with me. If you don't like it, you can tell me afterwards. So at this point, I think I know you well enough, Carla. You know me well enough, and Nasifa, you know me well enough to answer this question. So here goes. Carla, Nasifa, is you in or is you out?
Of a collaboration with you? I think we're right in the middle of it.
Is this what we're doing?
So hang on one second. Do anybody on here, any of the attendees have any questions for Nafisa, Roy, or myself about anything that we've covered today, that we've talked about so far? If you do, just go ahead. And actually, the best thing you could do is put /Q, right, Roy?
Yes, /Q, and then ask your question, just like I'm about to post in the side there.
There, you did a question.
Oh, cool.
So if you do /Q, it'll stand out for us. Love the content so far. All right, perfect. All right, so I want to, Nafisa, you talked on a few things about some of the things you did to leverage that magazine, being featured in the magazine, because I saw that was a beautiful feature on the magazine, and it did help to get speaking engagements. Anybody here actually use speaking as a way to generate income?
Me. But anybody else in the chat?
I'm sorry?
I said anyone else on the chat, because that's a really, I mean, if you're starting out in business, especially in a helping or a people type of business, speaking is one of the fastest ways you can grow your business and grow your fan base and really cement your credibility. So if anybody does that.
I think if you're not, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, because we all speak. And if all you're doing is text and not looking for speaking opportunities, even if they're just like this, because here's what will happen, if I may, just really quick. If Carla and Nasifa know me, like me, and trust me, and they realize that I provide a valuable service or product, then when somebody says to them, hey, Carla, hey, Nasifa, did you know anybody who blanks? And it's like the first thing you think about is like, hey, yeah, Roy Montero does that. So now I'm going to keep Roy from you. I won't tell you about it. Just look on Google somewhere or go to the yellow pages. No, they're not going to say that. They will bring you, because now you have made yourself top of mind. I don't know if this is an exact quote from the Grateful Dead, Jerry Garcia, or not, but he says, it's not enough to be the best in your field. You should be the only one that people think of in your field. Something like that. I butchered a little bit, but you get what I'm trying to say, right? You need to be top of mind for anybody and everybody. And the only way that you can do that is to nicheify yourself. You must go an inch wide and a mile deep, rather than saying, who's your target audience, Roy? Well, anybody who fogs up a mirror, I'll take them on. You have to nicheify it.
Address a comment that came up in the chat from Taylor, where she said that she's not quite a speaker, but more into blogging and need to work on getting bigger guest blog opportunities. So I just wanted to address that, and I love Carla's question there, and that's also a great example of how you can position yourself, and underneath that you need to have a monetization strategy, because blogging I love to write, I write in quite a few different publications. However, there's days where it's a big responsibility, and other times it's a lot more fun, but it is a big time commitment. So you want to make sure that whether you're speaking or you're blogging or getting into videos like this, that you have a way of connecting with people after you've done that. So whether the blog has a call to action or speaking. And I think too, I do want to maybe take a step back when it comes to speaking. These type of opportunities are fantastic because we can get all over the world, right? But also, when you're actually live in a room full of people, you can't underestimate the power that creates in your credibility and your brand and the edification. And so you need to be really choosy about where you speak, what you speak about, what you accept, because some places they'll take a speaker from anywhere, then they give you a whole bunch of criteria, right? And yet you're providing this awesome service. So you need to balance that stuff out with, in the beginning, that's going to help you get the name, get the reputation, get more speaking gigs. And then when you start to speak, you really want to be thinking about creating that monetization strategy off of it, right? I think that's really important, because again, that can be really expensive. And then these type of things for speaking don't cost you anything besides, a little bit of time. So I think so for Taylor, I think if you're looking at the blog and speaking opportunities like this, I'd love to hear what it is you'd like to expand on, because it really increases your platform to get in front of more people.
Yeah. And you mentioned that, well, she answered here, she said a mix of social media and WordPress design and tips. So I can already tell you that there's a gentleman actually here on Blab who does a daily blab on inviting people to go in and ask him any questions about WordPress. Any questions about WordPress. So, and then he does some, obviously that's a way for him to, one, do market research, to see what people are most interested in, and to be of value, right? And be top of mind. If you know that every day he's going to be on there, well, I know that he's on there every day, if I want to know something about it, I am probably not going to get on there to ask him and find out and go and do it. I might actually ask him, well, how can you do this for me? How can we work together? Yeah, because I'm not going to be able to do, I'm not going to get around to doing that. I know where my area, I can tinker with WordPress, but it's probably not the best use of my time.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
So
if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
No, finish your thought.
It's saying on your do you see that, Nafisa, too? Or is it just me? It says poor internet signal on his.
Yeah, it does say audio only, poor internet signal. I don't. Yeah, it's just because I'm audio only. I need them to actually fix that. So for Taylor, what Carla just said is perfectly right. Right now is the perfect time to set up shop here on Blab, and to set maybe if you don't want to do it daily, you do it weekly. It's the WordPress and design tips with Taylor show. Once a week, every week, here it is. You guys do it for half hour, whatever you like. Have people ask you questions. Here's the thing I want to say. There's a lot of plumbers. There's a lot of carpenters. There's a lot of people who are in the offline world who make videos and put it on YouTube, right? So they show you how to fix that leaky sink. They show you how to fix that clogged toilet. But just because you watch it and see how to do it, a lot of people would say, isn't this plumber cutting their nose off despite their face? And aren't they not going to, because people are not going to do it themselves? Quite the opposite. When people see how difficult it is, how messy it is, they're not going to want to do it themselves. And guess who they're going to call? This person who showed them exactly how to do it. Because why? Because they've been known, liked, and trusted by them. Video is the way to go.
It's also the fact that they're showcasing their expertise, so you're going to trust them to do it too, right? The credibility. Yeah, that position. Credibility.
And Roy, you like quotes, so I'll quote one back, which is one of my absolute favorites. It's Dolly Parton, right? She says, if instructions worked, we'd all be rich and thin. So just because we're providing the information out there, you are building your credibility, you're building your brand, you're building that know, like, and trust. But that doesn't mean the person is going to go do it by themselves or on their own. I know I don't. I mean, I will geek out on watching things, but at a certain point, I'm like, okay, yeah, I just got to hire somebody, right? And the funny thing is I may not have gotten to that point of making the decision to invest that kind of money until I watched a bunch of tips to realize I can't do that, right? Yeah. So don't be afraid to give so much value that people really want what you have to offer.
Yeah. And going back to what you said, Roy, a little while ago about micro niching and staying top of mind. And I like to look at it as a category and a class in the category. So if you are a coach, consultant, speaker, author, financial planner, designer, whatever it is, okay, so what kind of blank are you? If you're a speaker, are you a motivational speaker? Are you, what kind, if you're a coach, are you a health coach? And then a little bit further than that. And Nafisa's awesome at helping people really nail down their niche and their branding messaging and all of that. And quite frankly, if you do not do that, we're back to what we talked about a little while ago, where people will put you in a certain category. I mean, how many times have you been to a networking or some sort of business environment where someone asks you what you do, and you maybe mention a very general term, and they're like, oh, like so-and-so. So-and-so over there does that too.
You're like, no, I don't.
You're like, no, I know what she does, and it's totally different. Well, guess what? Then we need to work on that. We need to
Can I give an example that I love to give? Because I mean, you know one of the people I'm talking about, but especially like in the coaching world, right? And I think a lot of times we can help, especially as coaches, we can be trained in a lot of modalities, right? Because we geek out on the craft, we learn different types of skills. And I remember there was one time I was working with a client, and she had done all these different trainings, and so and it took a while for her to get there, and I came back to her with this example, but she was a health coach, a women's empowerment coach, a money coach, a business coach, a family relationship coach, a wellness coach, and there was a few of them, and she wanted to market all of that, right? Yeah. And it was kind of like, what do you do? And I was trying to coach her through that, and we'd sort of left it. And then I went to a big conference with you, Carla. We were in San Diego, and I was sitting at a table, and I met, and someone came up to me that day. You'll know exactly who I'm talking about. And I said to him, "What do you do?" And he says, "I'm a business coach for women dentists." And I went, "Now that is clear."
I love that example. Yeah, I'm going to give a similar example really quick as soon as you finish.
Yeah, and I remember thinking, okay, I mean, that is probably half an inch wide. Now, does he have other clients that aren't necessarily women dentists? Yes, but that's the majority of it. And I mean, I think if I ran into a woman dentist who needed some help on the business side of things, I'd be like, oh, you've got to go talk to her.
Exactly. Guess who you're going to refer.
So when I came back and talked to this particular person about, how do you bring all this, I said, you need to bring it all together. And we were able to sort of talk through it. Really what she did was she wanted to be a business coach for women in transition, like a life transition. And so they didn't let the business go or let the life part go. And when you think about it, all those modalities were really important to what she did. Versus I do this, I do empowerment, I do health coaching.
Yeah, she's a unicorn, and wow, the value in that. Yeah.
So then when she heard that, she went, oh, I get it, right? And I think that's when you want to be clear, because then you know who you are.
Well, it all starts from the fact that you don't know what you don't know. And if you run your life on the default mode, most people want to go a mile wide and an inch deep because they don't want to miss anybody, right? Like I said earlier, who's your target audience? Oh, anybody that fogs up a mirror. No, because when you speak, no one hears you. So the example I was going to give is, let's say that you're a realtor in California, and you happen to be in your 40s, and you happen to have went through a divorce, and you know what all that's like. So why don't you become the realtor to people in their 40s who are going through a divorce or have been through a divorce because of the tough time that they're going to have and sell their property or buy a new property, and they know that this person who has went through exactly what they're going through can help them not only buying a house, selling a house, but with the mindset of someone going through a divorce, just like what you're saying here about your dentist.
Yeah, and I think that just helps you. And does that mean you're going to turn away people that you would love to work with that are naturally?
Absolutely not. No.
It's in your wheelhouse, but that like the women's dentist coach probably would not, teach people how to skydive. I mean, that's not in his wheelhouse, but someone else with another business who resonated with him, because business is still business, he might be able to serve them. But in terms of overall where the business is going, you want to be clear on who you'd love to work with. Now, I mean, I know when I first started out, I really went into the mile wide, inch deep. Part of it was a fear of turning business away, but the other thing too is sometimes you don't know. You really don't know who you like to work with.
Nafisa, Taylor just asked you something. He says, do you think saying you serve womenpreneurs is niched or not quite niched enough? My best favorite clients have been business and life coaches, and surprisingly enough, intuitives, but all women. That is your niche right there, what you just gave as the best clients.
Because, I mean, you've got who you've got in there, so it's been business and life coaches versus womenpreneurs, because if you were to say womenpreneurs, you could be talking about daycare owners, coffee house owners, lawyers, and then it gets really wide and broad. But as Carla said, it looks like you've got a clear niche there, and it's just bringing that together in an umbrella. I mean, Carla, I believe we all have an umbrella niche, and within that there might be ideal client groups, and that, I mean, I'm a little different that way.
Yeah, and you and I subscribe to that idea. I have micro niches, and the fact that we're able to do that makes me be able to be very clear and write compelling copy, and my messaging resonates with people pretty strong because I have it micro niched. And it may not be the way I'm talking to this person about this particular course, program, or services that I offer is not the same way I'm going to talk to this other group. And it's okay to have a few different groups you're talking to. It's just important that when you're talking to that group, you're very clear on who it is on the other end that's reading that.
I just wanted to address Taylor's comment, and Carla, mine's a little bit different with the levels that I go through with the clients, right? The 3 levels that we go through, and that can even be in a micro niche as well. But that actually ends up being the same client. It's just where they are in their buying process is probably a little different.
Yes.
I wanted to address Taylor's comment. So Taylor, sometimes and I went through this with one of my platinum clients the other day, he was like, what do I say when I go to this thing? And I don't want to say I work with this type of client, because what if those aren't the type of people in the room? And I said to him, well, here's the thing. If you just go on and on about that you serve this, 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 and this, you're probably not going to get any business anyway. They're going to go, oh, okay, how cool. Like if someone says I'm a financial planner, people's eyes just roll to the back of their head, right? Versus if somebody says I work with, again, women in transition or entrepreneurial families or single women, it gets really specific. So you probably won't necessarily attract anyone when you're being that general. So when you're being specific, one or two things are going to happen. Either your ideal client is going to be sitting right in front of you and they're going to say, hey, that's me. Mm-hmm. Or it'll be somebody who knows somebody who needs you. Yeah. And that's great. Or if they don't know right away, they're going to remember you like the way I remembered the women dentist. So one of those two things will happen. Or the third thing will happen is just they're like, oh, okay, and nothing happens, but that probably would have happened anyway if you kept it really general. Yeah. So
at least this way you'll have a lasting effect.
And when I look at what you wrote, it is very specific, and it's still broad enough that you probably are okay, you know, the business and life coaches, because I don't know about you, if I go to networking events, there's usually at least 10 of them there.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
So, I think
yeah. Do you, Nafisa, I was going to put here, where she can find out more information about you. What URL? I know you have a lot of gifts that you give out, so I wasn't sure which one to put in here. Which one would you?
Which gift would be appropriate? Okay. See, I was not expecting that question. Well, if you just go to whatdoyoucharge.com, I mean, that's a little bit more about charging, but that'll get you sort of into the gift will address some of those things on how to.
Okay, so let me write that down.
Whatdoyoucharge.com.
Now I want to make sure I spelled it right. All right.
So I just went ahead and put in my target audience because that will give you all an idea of
heart-centered entrepreneurs who want to meet people in video chats for possible joint venture opportunities who have high-ticket info product with coaching priced at least $9.97 and up. Perfect. Okay.
So that eliminates a whole lot of people that I don't even want to deal with. It's like, Roy, I don't have a product yet. Okay, go get a product. When you do, come see me. Yeah. And I might be able to refer you to somebody who's somebody in the field of helping you come up with a product that is valued at least at $9.97, because the people that I deal with, they're going to want to take at least a 40-50% cut in order to introduce you, who have no list, to their list of 50,000, 100,000 plus people. And in one webinar with one 5-week, 8-week course, you can earn anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000 all in one sitting by talking for 1 hour. You understand what I'm saying? Rather than trying to do it one person at a time. So,
and actually, Nafisa is very good at helping people create their programs based on their expertise. So
now there you go. See,
Carla.
Yes, top of mind for me. Yeah.
Thanks, Carla. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I am going to put on here. So did that help, Taylor? I know there are a ton of coaches online. Yes, they are. So what do you help them do, Taylor? What do you help coaches with? What gets to happen for them when they work with you? Or especially the ones that have been your best clients. Like what has been the things that they've been most thrilled about?
If Taylor would like to join.
I know. I was. Yeah, let us know if you want to join and if you want to join in. And all right. Okay, let's see here. Yes, thank you. Oh, I think that was about whether it helped. Okay, let me see.
So one of the things, and I think this is a great segue into it when you talk about positioning yourself for business and profit. And Carla, when we did our Periscope, well, back in Arizona, this was 2 months ago now.
Yeah.
One of the things we talked about things that are really important to build your business up to that multi-6 and 7-figure level is really learning how to leverage your network. And that's a great way to position yourself as well. If you have a network that, they may not be your ideal clients, but they're your network of champions or your network of business partners, and really leveraging that as well to help give you that exposure, just like what Roy's talked about here about, that's what he wants to do, is partner with people that want to joint venture and promote their products. So by positioning yourself with people who may not necessarily be your clients, but that really buy into what you're doing, that's another great way to make a lot of money.
That's right.
And I mean, I had a great example of that today. Like, I did a strategy session. The woman we're working out the final details, and she didn't come to me through my marketing. She came to me through someone who knew through someone who, it was just like a champion chain, right? Is what I would call it. So I think when you position yourself, you want to really make sure that you're building up relationships, not just with potential clients, but with your extended
collaboration partners. Yeah.
For the collaboration.
And
yes,
profit
collaboration.
Strategy there.
Says which
what people who aren't ideal clients are definitely a lot of. I've never had a boring unideal client, Taylor, but I've certainly had ones that have been a lot of work, and that's why they're not boring.
Exciting ones, yeah.
They have in my head.
So we do social media strategy and planning, setting up email marketing, blogging, and creating freebies and opt-ins. Basically, so do you do all the technical aspects to that? And what email marketing tools do you use? Are you able to help people with which email marketing, which autoresponders? Just so that if there's anybody on here that actually would need some of that help. Do you work with Infusionsoft? I actually heard of a couple of new ones recently. I don't remember. I gotta write it down. I know you don't.
Squirrel. It's a total squirrel.
Yeah. So do you have somewhere, Roy, that someone can go and do you have an email?
No, I don't have anything set up just yet. Yeah, I'm still in the process of doing all of that. But all you have to do if you want to connect with me, listen, I'm old school. Connect with me on the phone. Let's talk. If you are going to email me or give me a social media post, it'll take days, if not weeks, for me to get back to you. And if that's what you want, then that's fine. But you can Skype me. I live in Skype. I'll answer my Skypes day or night, even when I'm sleeping. I got it on because that's the way I roll.
Okay. I
sleep like 4-hour shifts.
I was wondering if you were going to put your phone number on there.
Yeah, my phone number is there too. So all you got to do is look up my name, Roy Montero phone, and my phone number is there. My Skype is there, and my, I just want to talk with you. If you don't want to talk with me and you want to do this in email, you're not my ideal client.
That's right. That's exactly what I was going to say. With you, they probably wouldn't be an ideal client to do and kind of build that rapport with you.
Yeah, like what Taylor was saying. She's saying that it makes it for boring people when the right ideal customer doesn't come along. And I hate to say this, and I hope I don't hurt your feelings, but Taylor, that's your fault. You need to weed people out before they get to you. You need to tell them exactly, if you fit this, call me. And if you don't bother. I won't be able to help you. You understand what I'm saying? And it really is that easy. And I know that your mindset isn't quite there yet, because I heard you say, or I saw you write, that it's hard for you to pinpoint and go an inch wide and a mile deep. You're afraid you're going to miss somebody. And with that type of a mindset, you're speaking to nobody. And that's why it's so difficult for you. Because really people...
Cool, I think it's very clear. The more she writes, I'm seeing it really clear, right? Her clients aren't at the level for Infusionsoft yet. So, I mean, that's a great filtering tool, right?
Yeah, I think she's very clear on who she's working with. And who she's... I think she's very clear on it. I also think that there's... Back to what Nafisa mentioned a little while ago about... And you talked about this, Roy, as well, is about staying top of mind awareness, and staying on people's radar, and wanting to refer people to you. So her style, from what I'm looking at, with Taylor's style, is she probably wouldn't approach it the same way you would, as far as, no, then you're not my ideal client. Your personality can carry that, and it'll be fine. Hers. Yeah. Probably won't. And with her ideal clients being women, it probably wouldn't be received well, which is not something that she may want her brand herself that way. Because when a woman does it, it comes off very different than when a man does it. We don't get that slack.
Absolutely. I totally understand that.
So, yeah. The essence of it is spot on. It is spot on.
Yeah, because women do the languaging a little different too,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I actually gave somebody back a lot of money this spring. Remember, Carla?
Yes, I do.
Because they were not an ideal client, and I realized through this process that things were just not happening the way they should have, and we hadn't actually begun yet. And I wanted to say, you're not my ideal client. I don't like you. Go away. Right? But it was just, I said, I've been thinking about this, and I want to make sure that when you invest this money that you are thrilled and you are getting the results that you want. And to do that, you have to have a perfect fit with your coach. And I'm not that person for you. So I'm going to refund your money. Let me know if you need a reference. And this is not a reflection on you. I want you to have a good experience. I'm a fantastic coach, but if we're not jiving, it's not going to work. Yeah. So it's just a different way of wording it. And sometimes you do have to.
But the essence is there. The essence is there. Well, you're right. I mean, you have to be that aggressive about you being selective. It has to be that, because otherwise you're not going to get the same traction. You're not going to be as passionate about your business. You're not going to be as successful if you aren't being that selective. So yeah, I agree with you 100%, and it is about making that mindset shift and embodying that of, no, that's not my ideal client. That's not someone I would ever work with.
And I wanted to comment to what Taylor said there about, she's transitioning to working with more and more ideal clients. And I think one of the things too, as women, and I fully agree with what Ray's saying about that inch wide and mile deep, we also have to allow ourselves a natural evolution of that, because it can take a bit of time to figure out who that ideal client is. That's why sometimes, if you're micro niching and you're very specific when you're in that micro niche, you can attempt that market and you can find out you don't like them or not. Like when I made that crazy idea that one of my micro niches is going to be accountants, it didn't work very well for me, right? So I thought, okay, that wasn't probably the right niche to go in, so I left that one aside. But what you're saying here, Taylor, is, and I get that, when there's low-hanging fruit and you need to get the money in, you're getting a base, but now you have the ability to start to be choosy and really figure out, because even within the business and life coaches, you might find that it gets clearer to you as to who those even might be, because there's many different modalities, people are different spaces. And what you said there about they're not an entrepreneur, they're not an Infusionsoft, I'm hearing a very specific client that you can help, that when they go out to look for that kind of help, they get overwhelmed because they're like, everybody I call wants to sell me Infusionsoft or give me this, it sounds like you've got a solution that could be a breath of fresh air to that newer coach.
Yes.
Yeah. Carla, I mean, just when I think back, when I started, I didn't know where to turn. So
I mean, how many people don't we know, Nafisa, that, how many colleagues that probably were in Infusionsoft before they ever should have been, right?
Yes.
And it took on all this, it actually sucked the life out of them for quite a while and created, it created, instead of giving them that momentum, it really squashed it.
Slowed them down.
Yeah, it slowed them down so much.
But to comment on that, because a couple of them probably never should have had Infusionsoft to begin with.
Right.
Or
for
ever.
The type of business,
ever.
right, for the type of business, right.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that it's necessarily a small entrepreneur. It could just be a really high-touch, low-volume, high-end boutique experience. They don't need Infusionsoft either. So I think, Taylor, you can really create that. You don't need to know every program, right? But the thing is, you're going to really appeal to those people that are looking for something that is just right for them and are afraid to call out because they're going to think that if I don't do Infusionsoft, you provide another alternative for them to say, hey, you don't need it. You have a high-touch business. You want to have like one of the women in our mastermind, where she works with corporate healthcare leaders, right? She probably could use an email system, but all she knows is, I don't want to do Infusionsoft, right?
Right, because everybody else in that circle is an Infusionsoft. So she's looking at it as, my only alternative is Infusionsoft, and I know I don't want to go there. So you're right. And she's not starting out, she's not starting out. It's just, she's been in business for a while and she's in multiple figures. Yeah.
Very personalized service. Yeah. So I think if you,
but I think you've got she mentioned right now, she said, I sometimes feel like admitting I don't know every program might make me look like I'm not as good as I think, but the more honest I am, the more trust I build. Exactly. And you know what? And it's all about the way you present it, right? We're talking about positioning. It's all about the way you say it and your why. If you say, well, no, I don't know that program, then it looks to that prospective client that they're missing out on something if they're working with you versus someone else that knows that. But if you tell them, well, you know what, I liked my ideal client, it's not the best fit for my ideal client. So I don't dedicate time for that because it wouldn't be a best service to my ideal clients. I would love to take a look at your business, what you do, what you what your vision for it is. And then from there, we can see if this would be a good fit for you. If I find that you should be using one of those programs, if that's what would best serve you, then I can recommend you to someone else. And that way you're not positioning yourself like you are, like working with you at a disadvantage. On the contrary, there's value you're bringing to it by doing that evaluation. Yeah, so.
I'd like to add to that because, Taylor, that's,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say it's all about positioning because even, no matter what, you always want to be thinking that way because even if you're just starting out in business and you don't have a website yet, if you start apologizing for website shame, then you are not positioning yourself, right? It could be, well, that's by design, or I've chosen right now to use LinkedIn. And I have a team working on the, like, you're just never apologizing for anything. You're always coming from the perspective of what, because at some point, what it is you're doing in your business or what you have going on, it is serving you. So you want to come from that perspective of where it's being served, so that you're not ever apologizing, because that doesn't help your position.
I couldn't agree more. Great point, Steve. So what I was going to add to what Carla already said is that don't be the Lone Ranger entrepreneur. Oh wait. Go ahead and be the Lone Ranger entrepreneur because even the Lone Ranger had Tonto. So go ahead and take on any project that you need and the services that you don't provide, the products that you don't provide. Just go out there and find them and subcontract that, farm that stuff out. There's a lot of people on Odesk and all these other places that'll be more than happy to do that. And you just figure that stuff in and you're just the person who facilitates all of it. So don't worry about what you don't know. Find people who do, because you can't be know everything that there is to know. And that's what makes you a good, fit for your clients, is that you.
And it also, back to the piece about the whole focus in positioning as a marketing strategy, is credibility. It builds credibility. It's kind of like when you have that, when you're dealing with somebody at a company and, they're an employee of the company or whatever, it's someone that you've hired or that you are a customer of, and you ask a question and they don't know the answer. You don't want them to make stuff up. You want them to find out. I don't know, but I will find out, right? We value that. So in the same way, I don't do that, but I know someone that does. And you are that, credibility is there. You're that trusted resource. And that's what you want to be in the mind of your prospective client, is to be top of mind awareness, unforgettable, first in class. What is your, you are owning it as far as knowing who your client is, what's going to bog them down, what's going to frustrate them. They're nowhere near being in any of these other, they're AWeber. What did you say? My screen is stuck, so I can't even scroll up and see. But, you know what it is that they need. AWeber and MailChimp, exactly, and setting them up and, setting up all the technical details about their offer and what's going to get them up and running and in business, and to automate things, just, venture into automating most of what they're doing and expanding their reach. That's what they need at that moment. So you'll be a trusted resource for that person for a very long time, and positioning yourself with credibility with other people as well, like us, like, Nafisa, Roy, and I, and everybody on here now understands what you do and who you best serve. So we're definitely going to keep you top of mind.
Because I know we have clients that need that type of service that don't necessarily need the bigger end things, but they're desperate for a solution. So it's good to know that.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so we have also, let's see here, we have, my screen is stuck, Nafisa, so I can't really scroll down, but if anybody else has questions or comments or wants to pop in.
Yeah.
Oh.
Really?
Taylor's saying,
Taylor. So we're glad you were here too.
Yeah, awesome, Taylor.
What did she say? I can't see.
That she's this is her second time on Blab here, so she's really glad to come across the three of us.
Oh,
so there's
cool.
no
Yes.
accident. Yeah.
That was a divine connection, right, Roy?
Oh, absolutely. And I had a divine connection just looking at her profile. She says, work from home, and then in brackets, dog mom. So I relate to that, and I told her earlier in the text, I'm a doggy daddy. So I love
I'm
it.
a doggy mommy too. So
Yeah, we
that's
can
awesome.
talk about our doggies forever. That's the common bond. And then if you know you're a doggy lover, you know, and then if you got a breed like mine, who's really, really smart, the Border Collie, it's like, oh my goodness, you know, that there's just no stopping me from, you know, loving on you, and building a connection with you, certainly.
Nice, nice. Okay, well, let's see. And then we have, you know, I hope you guys are getting value from it, from this. This is our very first Blab, and the first of many.
You're doing awesome. You're doing awesome. I want to give you some feedback. You're doing awesome. First thing is, if you were at all apprehensive of doing something like this, don't.
So that we are just one.
Thanks, David.
Okay.
Well, I was apprehensive on Periscope, but now I'm addicted to it. So.
Well, I'd love your mindset on that. Some people are telling me the Blab is going to kill Periscope. What's your thought on that?
Thank you, Violet. Okay, so let's get going here. Let's see.
Oh, I think we just lost Carla. I don't know enough to have an opinion on it, to be honest, Roy. I mean, I like them both, and this is my second time on Blab. This is my first time hosting one. Well, I'm not really in the host seat, but I kind of like them both, and I think I like the impromptu-ness of Periscope, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. I don't scope. I will never scope. I will never do that. That's not my style. That's not who I am. But what I'm hearing is that people love scoping, and then afterwards they go over here for the after party for those people who want to connect with them and have some sort of a relationship with them where they can just jump in the seats and go, oh, look, one of my favorite scopers.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, what I love about Periscope too is, I mean, like my company is Living Forward Business and Lifestyle, so I do the business and I do the lifestyle stuff. So on the weekends, I scope cocktail recipes. So I have a following for that, because that part's fun. So, but I don't know. This will be fun to keep up with Blab now. Like I said, it's my second time, so I'm sure it's not going to be my last.
Wait till you build a lot of relationships over here. You're gonna get notices if you like getting notifications from people, and they'll be like blabbing and be like, "Oh no, I gotta feed my family. It's time for dinner. No, and I don't want to miss this. What a great topic!" It's like, yeah, people are already setting up Blab Rehab. They're already setting up Blab Anonymous. Oh my goodness, because people are cutting into their sleep time because this is so fun. I'm not going to say addicting because I don't get addicted. I just have fun with this.
I'm sorry. I just have to comment, David Bushell. Are you is this David from like my youth? Like
from way back when?
From like 1980 something?
Oh my God.
Yes, Montreal. Oh my goodness. Blast from the past time.
Oh my God. I have no we used to dance and party together like in the 80s.
Hey, and he's a scoper too, like you.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
What do they say?
Wow.
Birds of a feather. Yep, they don't flock
Wow.
from each other.
Oh my
How
God.
cool is that?
So I haven't seen David in about 20 some years maybe, because I did see you when I'd come back. Yes, Pierre Fons. Yeah, I used maybe about 22 years I haven't seen David at least.
Wow.
Wow.
And then to meet on Blab, you know, there was probably a better chance of you meeting on something like Facebook, but meeting on Blab like this.
How cool is that?
Well, I still look the same. How did you just figure it out that it was me? He just posted, I just figured out who you are. Well, I don't have the big teased bangs anymore. I did that.
It. The flat hair. How funny.
Wow. I felt warm. That's cool. Well, that's
so
awesome.
What do you scope about, David? What do you scope about?
David, are you going to jump in? Come on.
Yeah, I'm going to let David jump in. I'll jump out.
David, you've got to jump into the Blab here.
It's been awesome meeting the two of you. I'll just jump out.
Great meeting you too, Roy. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for hosting.
If I follow both of you. So, yeah, if you ever need any technical help, let me ask you with that. If there's any techie questions that you have right now that you may, before I leave, I'll be glad to answer them if I can.
Okay. All right. Well, no, but I'm sure I'll think of some. So I will definitely.
Okay. Here's the best thing to do. Like if you start one of these and you need some help, there's help, and I'm not going to do the exact thing, but I'm going to put a space between the @mention and the help. So if you put it all together, like a Twitter handle, then somebody from the team will jump in and help you if you have any technical issues, something's frozen or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Her name is Brittany. She's all about
that's the one I get all the emails from.
Yes, exactly. And she'll jump in. She is the community manager. Oh, love her. She's amazing. And let's see. So if you want me to jump in and notice, then you just use my name, which is my name.
Oh my God, you look exactly.
Hey, David.
That is so funny.
Hi, Roy.
I'll let you guys all
Hi,
catch
Carla.
up. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Audio.
You guys can all watch the reunion, right? That's so wild.
So how you doing?
Good. Long time no see.
Good. I know, 20-something years, eh?
I know. So where are you living now?
I'm still in Montreal.
Are you still like Pierrefonds, Kirkland, like?
No, I'm in the east end of Montreal.
Okay. Oh, you weren't in Pierrefonds. You lived out there.
Yeah, I was always living in the Rosemount area.
That's
and,
right.
I don't know if you remember Montreal then.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm living out there.
Okay, you're still okay. Got it. Yeah, I'm in Vancouver now. So well, you know that I've been here for 25 years. So, yeah. Living way out where.
Everything is good.
Yeah, really good. That's just I just can't believe I like bump into you on a lab.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised as much as you are. I was just like I was making supper and I'm like, let me just like listen to some blabs while I'm cooking supper. And I just stumbled on this one. I didn't even know you were on it, and
that's right.
Just when you started talking, and when I saw your name and I saw your face, I'm like, could that really be Nafisa from like back then?
That is just so wild.
That is funny. So I saw that you're a smoker.
What do you?
Actually, I'm off work. I'm off work right now.
Mm-hmm.
The last job I had, I was working with Apple in Fairview.
Mm-hmm.
And then we opened up another store in Brossard, and I left about a year ago. I just need some time to myself, just to regroup and see what to do next. And so I'm just off. I'm looking for something now, but I had started something on Periscope called Scope Tribe, which was a show that I'm doing with another designer out in Portland, Oregon. And we were trying to help people to transition from being a viewer of Periscope to being an actual broadcaster.
Okay. Cool.
So we would have weekly shows, weekly challenges, and we would give them tips on how to actually break the ice and get into broadcasting.
Oh, cool.
Very cool. That's a cool idea.
I will look for it. I've got
so many people. You on Twitter, so and your handle's the same on Periscope. I'll find you when I'm at my.
Yeah, my handle's the same on Periscope and on Twitter. It's David J. Bushel.
Awesome.
Okay, I just followed you on Twitter. I don't have my iPhone to follow you on Periscope.
So will you be doing the same thing with Blab?
Blab, I found it's a different. It works differently, and it appeals to a different audience.
Yeah.
Like some of the assignments we were giving out were for people to like scope their sunset or scope the weather, just to get them to start broadcasting something, and then start looking at the comments and get some feedback. And you can't really do that with Blab.
Right.
It's a completely different way of working.
You have
Blab is more geared to like interviews or panel discussions, which is great. So I haven't decided yet how I'm going to use Blab, but right now I'm just dabbling and seeing what people are doing right now.
Awesome. Well, do you have a handle or something we can promote for you here and position you?
Well, there's some people already. They already put the hashtag there, Scope Tribe.
I did,
That's our show, Scope Tribe.
Okay.
So if you see us on Periscope or if you see us on Twitter under Scope Tribe, you'll find us.
Okay. I will do that. Definitely.
And I see Sonia is there. Sonia says hi. So she's a realtor in Chicago. She's one of our members in Scope Tribe, and
hi, Sonia.
She's been using Periscope for real estate.
Nice.
Oh, that'd be cool because you can show the houses and like take people on tours.
Yeah, you can take people on tours, and I think what's great is that people who are interested in real estate or don't know what the steps are, she can kind of like work you through it, kind of like a tutorial type of thing.
To prep them?
So that's one thing I find on Periscope and on Blab. There's a lot of, I personally, my own opinion is there's a lot of fluff sometimes.
Yes.
It's like watching TV. You can have 100 stations, but only one of them or two of them actually have something you want to watch.
Yeah.
So Periscope is like that, where there's a lot of fluff, and sometimes you've got to wade through the fluff and find stuff that's really interesting.
Find trusted resources.
So, yeah. So resources, learning something, to learn something. There's a great opportunity to do like a do-it-yourself type of show, or a tutorial type of show, or a learning type of show.
Yeah.
And I find we don't see enough of that on Periscope and on Blab.
That's what I do with cocktails on Periscope.
Cool.
Well,
That's great.
Also, I think one of the things I like about Blab and Periscope as well is that you're actually getting to see, and if this is the people that really have the knowledge, the wisdom they can share, if they really highlight that, you will be able to filter through which people really, I mean, especially if you want to hire someone for something, right? Because people can create this great online persona, but do they really, are the meat and potatoes there? So I think with Periscope and Blab, it's really giving an opportunity to highlight that expertise and to position yourself that way. And that, if I'm not from the people that, I'm not from the school of thought of, you don't, especially if you're doing like free opt-ins and things like that, or free trainings, to not give, a ton of value, because to me is, if you have a lot of knowledge, there's no way you're going to fit it all in anyway. I mean, Nafisa gets on my case that I over-deliver on my free gifts. Well, it's because I can't stop myself. I'm trying to figure out how to shorten up what I put in there.
Yeah.
Like that's as simple as I can make it right now.
Yeah.
But again, it's like you said, you get to see that there's a lot of fluff, and this way you can kind of cut through it.
I mean, it gives people the opportunity to Periscope or to broadcast their personal lives, which is fine. If you want to scope about cutting your grass, hey, go ahead, cut your grass. I'm not going to stop you. Yeah. But being able to cut your grass, but maybe talk about, I don't know, the different types of grass there are, what fertilizer you use, when's the best time to cut your grass. Like that adds value to your broadcast. Yeah. So just going that extra step to adding some value to it, I think would go a long way to making it a lot more interesting.
Yeah. And to attracting your ideal audience, like we were talking with Taylor. Nice. Very nice.
True, because like you said, people can be whatever they want online, but once you see them, face to face in Periscope or on Blab, people start searching for you online too. They start searching for you on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, so they can actually put all the numbers together and say, hey, this person actually knows what they're talking about, right? You can talk all you want on Twitter and within 140 characters and give off whatever you want, but
all the sound bites.
Maybe you really don't. Yeah, maybe you don't know anything, right?
Yeah.
So,
or it could be a social media manager doing that for you.
I love when I get an email from someone, and then I get an email from someone else, and it's almost like cut and paste, and I'm like, okay, unsubscribe.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get it.
So it's cool, Nafisa. You're doing cocktail.
On Saturdays, I scope about cocktails. In the week, I stick to business topics, right? But on Saturdays, I like to bring the lifestyle piece into it, and I love the art of the cocktail. I developed that when I moved out here, so I'm always trying to find new, fresh ways to create cocktails, and just to give my tribe something a little bit more fun than just always business stuff, right? So it helps. Yeah, give them something to look forward to.
That's cool. I know there's another woman I follow on Periscope. Her name is Victoria James in the UK. And she had started out doing cocktail scopes, I think, every Friday.
Oh, okay.
So like to end off the week, it's like, okay, here's a cocktail scope. So every week she'd do a different cocktail, and it was really interesting. She'd do like maybe about 2 or 3 different cocktails. And I mean, I'm not really much into cocktails, but it's interesting to see how she was making them, and she's talking about the different alcohols, and and actually made a new friend in the UK now just by watching her cocktail scope.
Yeah.
So I find that whatever your interest is or whatever your passion is, then Periscope and Blab give you that opportunity to showcase that.
So is there a different business that she has as well? Is that just part of what her lifestyle?
She's a lifestyle blogger.
Oh, lifestyle blogger. Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
you can actually look her up on Twitter. It's Victoria James UK.
Okay, so I'm loving the way this is actually helping in the topic because she has become unforgettable to you, right? She's top of mind. Exactly. You're talking about her to us, and she's not even on this Blab. Talk about positioning. She's owned it. Yeah.
That's it. Might as well spread the love and promote others, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And if you don't participate, if you don't position yourself, you don't do that, then no one will. I mean, if she wasn't doing that, you wouldn't even know about her. Neither would we.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he said with her cocktails, I know that they've become very popular too.
Yeah, I've created one for different personality types too. I haven't launched those yet on my scopes, but I like to. There's an art to it, right? It makes it a lot of fun, and so I think because for me with my business, when we talk about positioning, I really believe that we create our life through our business, and so you want to be able to have that life that you enjoy, whatever it is you enjoy. So for me, showing that my passions and things I love to do are just shows people why I do what I do, right? And it just makes it a lot more fun. And people get to see sides to me that they wouldn't normally see, like stuff might come out of my mouth, like when my nephew was on my scope and they're like, oh, that's going to be too strong for grandma, right? Or stuff like that, right? It's like,
yes, last Saturday, your personality was shining through.
There was no faking it. So, yeah.
But it's true, like it does allow you to show a different side of your personality, especially if you're in, if you're in business and people always see you as a business person, they don't realize that, hey, you actually have a life outside of business. You have a family, you have passions, you have hobbies. And so it's a great way to kind of show that off and develop a following that way too.
That's a great point that you brought up as far as that ties back into the topic, because for some people, when we talk about positioning your business and yourself, for some people, they seem so unattainable. They seem so, everything has worked out. They've got it all figured out. They're masterful at what they do. And sometimes people don't hire them because they feel they're not ready for that person yet. Right. And they feel so disconnected. They're wonderful. They'll follow them, but they won't enroll for any programs. They won't hire them for anything because they're just not relatable. It's too formal. And so I think that what you just said, David, brings it back to the fact that by making themselves, showcasing their personality and their lifestyle, and Nafisa models this great with her scopes, is that they're able to connect at a whole different level, become more relatable, and maybe at least just take the chance now and take that step in having a conversation, having a conversation about it and getting a little bit closer now, because they can see that, they can see themselves in them, they can self-identify, they can self-select. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true that like I've seen some people on LinkedIn where you read their profiles and they're an author, they're a writer, they're a CEO, like they seem so
everything except human.
Unattainable. But then you can actually connect with them on Periscope or on Blab and actually have a conversation with them. So it kind of breaks a few barriers and having to, if you want to talk to them, you'd have to call, the reception, the company, and go through, 20 different people before you get to that person.
That's right.
But here you can get onto Blab or Periscope and have instant contact with them.
Yeah. So have you thought about how you can help people, those that started with the Scope Tribe, how to help them start positioning their business? Are you in the initial phases where those challenges are mainly around them participating in broadcasting?
Yeah, the challenges have been really around them just getting started with broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
We really haven't attacked or gotten into the business side of it, of helping businesses to broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a few other people out there on Periscope that have been strong on that,
mm-hmm.
But we haven't really got into that.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's more kind of like, if you had to compare, it would be like consumer broadcasting, like the average person just getting used to talking on a phone and reading comments and being comfortable in expressing themselves.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's important. That's very important.
It has to start somewhere, right? And, there's so many people that have small businesses. There's one company that does it really well. It's Frameable Faces. It's a company in Detroit that do, they're photographers. And it's two people, Doug and Ali, they're married, and they do a really good job in using Periscope to kind of broadcast their business, but have fun with it. And they have quite a few followers that join them on a regular basis, on a daily basis, check out their Periscopes, and they have fun, but at the same time, you actually learn a little bit about photography too, because he brings you out on his photo shoots and he shows you what he's doing. So it's a great way to incorporate both the fun aspect and the business aspect.
Yeah. Well, I find it's interesting. I forget his last name. I think his first name is Alex, who's on Periscope, one of the first early adopters. He has candles. I mean, he's teaching people how to Periscope, but he sells candles. That's his business. And his business has skyrocketed in sales because of him helping people how to use Periscope.
Yeah.
But, he's really, he's positioned himself as an expert in Periscope without wanting to, just because, and it's skyrocketed his sales in the candles. So I just thought that was funny. It's interesting.
Yeah. It's a great way, I think, if you can position yourself well, it's a great way for, the average social media strategist to actually show companies how to properly use live broadcasting.
Yeah.
And I know we were talking to Doug about this yesterday on Frameable Faces, is that large corporations can't get their finger on social media. They have a hard time because there's so many different levels.
Yeah.
And they can't get to the average person. They spend millions of dollars in advertising and broadcasting, but they still can't understand what makes that person happy.
Makes it work.
And and a lot of companies are not just going to give an iPhone and a Periscope account to their social media person and say, okay, start scoping.
Yeah.
There has to be so much of a plan and everything put into it. So it's really geared to a small business where there's no red tape. They can easily use this medium to broadcast their services and to teach their clients.
Yeah, where they're not putting themselves at risk with liabilities and things like that, and product claims and everything. Yeah, I
exactly.
So Carla, I just wanted to be respectful of the time, because we've had people that have been with us since the start.
Yes.
We've been at this for 90 minutes.
Yes.
I just jumped in.
I know.
I know you just jumped in. But there's some people here that I know have been here for a while, like Taylor and stuff, and I don't want to keep them. So I just wondered, what if there's anything we wanted to make sure that those who have been here who may have to go, any parting thoughts that we
covered some things. We kind of piggybacked off of the conversation with Roy. We talked a little bit during the conversation as organically things came up. We brought in some of the basic positioning principles and marketing principles. And if you didn't catch it from the beginning, I didn't actually start recording at the beginning, but soon after. And you can, and I think we covered most of the content in there. Yeah, so I think you'll be able to watch the replay, and you can look at that. But if you've been on here for a little while now and you have any questions about it, we'll be on probably another 5 minutes, and you can go ahead and ask any questions about the topics that we've talked about today. Now, we're going to be doing a few more. This was our first one. We'll be doing some more blabs and scopes. Well, Nafisa already scopes quite a bit. And so you want to go ahead and follow her on Periscope as well, and David as well, our other guest. And he'll help you start he'll help you start getting on the broadcasting seat.
There you go.
People just came in after David came into the seat. So for those who didn't know it, who didn't see it, the ones that were here from the beginning did, this comment came up in the chat from someone who said, oh, I think I know who you are, and it turned out it was David. And David and I knew each other from the time we were 15 till about 22, 23, and I haven't seen him since then, and he showed up on the Blab today just by fluke. So that was quite an interesting afternoon for that one. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Now we got something to tell the kids.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then we have Nafisa and I are actually starting a club, and that is the Net Millionaire Club. And that'll be launching this fall. So if you want to go ahead and visit the temporary page for that, where you can sign up to get notifications about the launch, any launch updates, you can go ahead and go to the Net Millionaire Club.
Not Net Millionaires, Net Millionaire.
Yeah, the Net Millionaire Club.com, and the club name is just like on the title of this, the the Entrepreneurs Net Millionaire Club. And you want to talk to them a little bit about that?
So I'm gonna take off, guys.
Okay. So nice to see you,
visiting with you.
all these years.
So good to see you, ladies. I'm following both of you now, and hopefully I'll catch you soon.
Perfect. Thank
See
you.
you.
Nice visiting.
Okay, David. I'm following you too now. Awesome. Bye.
Okay. Oh,
That's so cool.
that is cool. So you want to talk to them a little bit about the club and why we're doing it?
So yeah, so our reason thinking behind the club is we know there's a lot of online solutions out there about building your business and getting it to a certain level. But one of the things Carla and I have realized in creating a sustainable, profitable business that reaches the multi-6, multi-7-figure level, there's a lot of holes in what's available in the marketplace. And for us as business coaches, we don't just have experience in being a business coach. We've both built many multi-7-figure businesses and then some. And we are in the serial entrepreneur households, and we've done it ourselves. We've done it for other people. So we wanted to create this club as a place where if people needed different networking opportunities, different training, some business fundamentals, maybe some of the mindset piece. It's really a great place to sort of leverage and build your skills, and whether it's masterminding or just having membership at different levels so that you can really fill those holes that might not be solved out there by what's commonly available online. Like for instance, something like creating packages. I mean, a lot of people teach you how to create packages. I teach you how to create packages as well, but what happens after that, right? So we decided to create the club together as joint venture partners so that we could provide a place and a platform for training, networking, joint ventures to help other people create the wealth. And we say like the foundations of the club are business, wealth, and lifestyle. Is the link not working, Carla?
It is working for me. I just clicked on it. This is, yeah, it works. You may, maybe you want to copy and paste. It works for me when I just click on the link itself, but if you want to copy it and paste it on your web browser or type in thenetmillionaireclub.com, just make sure it's not with the plural millionaires, it's millionaire. And then you'll be able to access it. But yes, I checked it and it should be fine.
And so part of what drives us forward is helping people get to that point of having wealth in their life, because there's financial freedom where you can create money and create the income, but you also want to create financial security in your life so that if you can't create the income or you want to take a break from it, that you can survive the ups and downs and dips, right? Not yet. We
will. If you get on it, what you could do is you can go ahead and enroll for the notifications, and we'll be sending out a notification about an affiliate link. Yes.
About the affiliate place, yeah. And so we love lifestyle, so we're not going to hold anything back here. I mean, Carla and I love our luxurious experiences. We love champagne. We love to travel. We love all of that stuff. And at the same time, we also really respect the ability to create a solid foundation underneath that, so that we're not sacrificing our future for our current desires. So
yeah,
that's what the club.
Yeah, it's all about.
Yeah.
I can't hear you. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I stopped talking.
Okay. It's all about creating a business that will support that lifestyle, not living that lifestyle without having that solid foundation of a business that can really provide for it. And that's part of what we have been, part of what inspired us to do it, and what really prompted us was the fact that we know that we can be of value to quite a few people, especially when it comes to designing the business in a way that does that, so that they're not, it can be very dangerous to look at a business model from the outside looking in, or even to sign up at a program and, because it worked great for somebody else and that's the way they built it, doesn't necessarily mean that's what you need for your type of business. And so we want to create this resource that will be available to people depending on where they are in their business, what pieces they need to put in there that will apply to them. So it's taking all these concepts and putting them into context. And that way and that's what the missing piece that we see usually is in, there's a wealth of information available. There's so many different programs and courses, and you can sign up for everything and still be at square one. And Nafisa and I both have experience with large companies, and we have experience with startups. And we have experience mentoring other people through it. And we're also both coaches. So we can work on the inner work, the practical business skills, all of it. And we want to go ahead and make that available to especially entrepreneurs who are in business, but now need to transition into a higher level of service and not overextend themselves either, so that they can actually enjoy the lifestyle they were longing for when they started their business. So if you want to find out more details about it, share your story.
Yeah, and you can get notifications
and some of your results. Yes. Well, we'll be here for quite a few hours if I try to condense it into like the next 3 minutes. But I have built businesses offline. And then back in 2008 or 2009, I want to say, was when I started transitioning into online. And I've been able to create quite a few businesses in different niches. And our most recent launch, which was last January, actually our pre-launch was last January, was even in a trading software that we just launched with an affiliate program attached to it. And it's interesting because you want to talk about different types of businesses I've had? I've had a dating service, a matchmaking service. I've had a recruiting service. I've done training services. I've done network marketing. And I'm not talking about I've tried these things. I'm talking about these are businesses that I've built and that I've either sold or I have and I receive income from. And
I just want to add to that, Carla, because, when you look at positioning yourself and maybe celebrity, if you look, Carla is usually the brains behind it.
Yeah.
So she's coming out now from behind the curtain to position herself for what that expertise is. I've been in awe of watching what she has accomplished in the few years that I've known her. It's been phenomenal.
Yeah, I've created brands and been able to take them to. I'm sorry.
That's why we've got the curtain unveiling.
Yeah, we got the curtain.
Right.
Usually, I'm behind the scenes on some pretty amazing brands. We do a lot of work with brands and figuring out, what's going to be the market appeal for it, what's going to make it resonate with people the best, who that ideal audience is, and then we're able to take it to launch. I've had some pretty interesting clients that we've helped create 7-8 figure launches, and it's sometimes it is a startup. It just and that doesn't necessarily mean that's what's going to happen for everybody. It just depends. For them, they were positioned and poised in a way that they can actually benefit that way. And so that's part of what we do. And Nafisa, you want to talk a little bit about what you've done and what you've done? So
I've done. Okay. Well, I have a different spectrum of experience. I've been, as you all know, I'm probably older than I look, but I've worked in retail, I've worked in wholesale, I've worked in distribution, I've worked in tourism, and I've worked with a lot of startups, from small little owner-operator ones right up to multi-million-dollar ventures, and then I eventually went into mining, and I created a lot of mining startups, and I worked with them to get their systems in place, their strategy in place, how they're going to present themselves to the market to raise money, and we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And having these companies grow.
I actually owned a mining company at one point.
I owned my own placer mining company. Around my neck is a gold nugget from my very own placer mine up in Alaska. And no, we didn't do it like those gold rush guys. I don't know how they're not in jail. That's all I'm going to say with the HBA. And my husband and I also have our own multi-7-figure sales company. He's a sales representative, a manufacturer's agent, and his numbers are quite substantial, and we have built that business from scratch, the old-fashioned way, and he does really well. And of course, I have my coaching business. So there's been, and we, we're calling it the Net Millionaires Club because we do walk our talk and talk our walk, and to get to that point in your life and to get that point of wealth and to that point of security, it takes, there can be all different kinds of businesses, but there are fundamental business principles you need to have in place that are universal, and you need to get past just the income focus. The income is super, super important, But if somebody says, oh, I just had $100,000 launch, it doesn't mean anything if it cost $120,000 to do the launch. So everything needs to be planned from a strategy that it's profitable. That's why we talk about positioning for profit. So that underneath all of that, you have wealth, you have money left over, you have security. And one of the things I love to say is when people say to me, I've been in the gold mining business I was in there for a long time, when they would say, I'm sitting on a gold mine. And I'm like, oh, no. Well, have you really checked what that means, right? Because in the gold mining industry, it doesn't matter if there's $1 billion of gold in the ground. If it costs $2 billion to get it out, it's not coming out of the ground. It's economic. So I bring a lot of those skills to the entrepreneurial world. And sometimes, I love branding, I love marketing, I love doing all that fun stuff. However, that doesn't do you any good if you don't have the solid stuff under it, which isn't always fun. But I tell you what's really fun is having a lot of money left over.
That's right.
And having choice.
Yeah.
And having choices. That is.
Yes. Yes. I think one of the things that Kevin just mentioned, he says he likes the fact that we are teaching what we've done. And that, one of the principles that I followed my husband as well very early on is we won't teach something that we haven't done or that we haven't mentored someone else to do and that has been successful. There's no way we're going to teach just concepts and theories. That's never going to be my cup of tea. And that's because I know that what works for one person won't necessarily work for someone else. Now there's basic, like Nafisa just mentioned, there's basic business principles and marketing and positioning and different things that they're transferable skills and principles to many different markets and industries. Yes, because they're solid business principles. But then there's, within certain niches, certain things won't work that will work for somebody else. So that's why we don't cookie cutter everything. There's certain things that are cookie cutter. I mean, it's the way business works and it's what will make it profitable. But there's other things that that it really has to be industry specific, or it has to be a little bit different, borrowing from a different industry to make you unique and to stand out and positioned in your industry. That I love that I enjoy. And so, yes, there's a lot of fluff out there, and that's part of the reason that we were, we've collaborated before. We're a great resource for each other, but we decided to put this together, to really co-create it, and we work well together, and we can leverage off of each other's skills beautifully, and we can do that also for creating a community that way can become a trusted resource where people know that when they go to this or when they receive something from this, they're really not getting any fluff. They'll be fun, but they'll be fluff.
Tick, that would be great. I would love to hear from you and hear what you did. Thank you so much for staying with us. And I want to presence Jim's question where he said, there are so many mentors and online coaches. How do you decide on who to work with? Yes, I know you have to click with them, but do you have another answer besides you have to click with them? Okay, well, I don't have 2 hours because I could really go into it for it. But in a nutshell, I think, obviously, no matter who you work with, there has to be that personal chemistry, but personal chemistry is the, what I would call the icing or the belt buckle that pulls it all together, right? I know for me, when I look at mentors, and I have pretty high standards, right? Because I'm pretty experienced in business. So for me, when I'm looking for a mentor, it's have they done what I want to do? Not necessarily in the same format, but do they have the capability? Yeah, if I'm going to need a mentor to mentor me, let's say with team issues, well, I was a VP of Human Resources and I've managed teams of 15. If they've never managed people, well, they're not going to be the mentor for me, right? I want to make sure that they have, and I think there's two things. It depends what you're looking for. If you're really looking for consultative work on a specific topic, then you want that pure expertise. However, if you're looking into a coaching relationship, I also look to see for the coaching training and certification, because coaching is actually, it's a skill and it's a lot of work and a lot of commitment to learn how to coach somebody in addition to having the skills. And I like to see that two together. So I look at their history, I look at their testimonials, I look at, is it partly why we call this positioning yourself for profit over just, you know, having presence, is you can take a lot of pictures with a lot of pretty handbags, but what does that mean, right? Especially with women coaches, you see a lot of that. So if people are showing lifestyle, and I do show lifestyle because I love going on my boat. I've got a horse. I love to travel. I love all of that. But I also have another hashtag called How I Really Live that shows the unglamorous stuff that goes with it, because there's a lot that goes in there. So you want to see, so for me, when I look for a mentor, I want to see the coaching certification and training. I want to see the expertise in the subject that they have. I do personally look for a financial stretch, because I know me, if it's not a stretch, I don't do the work. And I also want to know that they can see the same vision that I see for myself, not keep me small. And I want to see results, credibility, and traction. And so when I say that, it could be as a coach, or it could be in other businesses that they've done, or things they've done for themselves that they're now transferring into their business, right? I look for all that.
Yeah, I think
not just great
marketing. Yeah, I think, and I want to emphasize the difference between a coach and a mentor, because it's huge, and that's the problem right now. That both words are being used too loosely, and that's really not. It can be very misleading. Number one, a coach, I don't think that you coach a business. I think you coach a person, right? So I think that when you're coaching, you're coaching a person. So if you're looking for someone who has a coaching ability, and I'm not talking about someone who just give great advice. I'm talking about someone who really knows how to lazy.
Coaching is not nice.
Yeah, coaching is really drawing out of you and getting to the root of something, especially when it has to do with something that could be holding you back, about your beliefs, your mindset, your paradigms that you actually run your life and your business through. And that's a whole different thing. Now, as far as business mentoring, consulting, and training, now that's a whole different ballgame. And it's one thing for someone to have been successful doing something for themselves, and it's a whole different thing for them to be able to, number one, recreate it for themselves, and number two, to be able to mentor other people in it. Now, that is not a combination that you could come across very often, even though that may be portrayed through different marketing. Okay, that's not necessarily true. So what I look for is, if there's an area in my business or my life that I want to hire some help with, then I look for someone who is masterful at that particular area. Okay?
Yes.
And not when they're trying to get out of their lane, because, nowadays you have someone who's very successful at one thing and they become a trusted resource for that. That's another piece about positioning and credibility, is that you can lose credibility if you become very good at one thing and you're known for it, and then you try to cross over into other things. I'm not saying that you can't do it. I'm just saying you better be good at it, because instead of helping your business, you're going to hurt your business. And so when I see someone, I become a little skeptical when I see someone who I see become very successful in one area and then transition into another one, or offer services in another one. I will dig a little deeper in that sense, and I want to know where that's coming from. What is that actually based on? What is that offering based on? Why are they feeling confident enough to do that? And if they are, because, hey, Nafisa is like that and I'm like that, I can bring from different things into my offerings because I have experience, and not only for myself, but for other people as well. And so if that is the case, then wonderful. I can go ahead and move forward with that. But yes, I look for that credibility piece, the integrity piece. I look for what they've accomplished and whether they are able to help someone else along in that same way.
And I will say one thing too, and this might sound a bit ranty, so I'll warn in advance. But I don't actually care how much money they're making right now. Somebody could have left a corporate job and they have the expertise that I want, right? I will never hire somebody who says, hey, I just did 6 figures this month and but I was broke for the last 4 years. They figured out some kind of switch, and that's great, but they're not going to be able to help me build a solid business that I need. They might help me figure out a really quick launch or something, but that's, for me, when I'm looking at what I need in terms of business expertise. It's not somebody who has never been successful in business before. So that's really important to me.
Exactly, Tig. Exactly. You have 10 niches, and what you do is hire people who are already winning at that name. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's
Always hire.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree with that.
So if you want to find out a little bit more about the club, go ahead and visit that link, and you can go ahead and you will receive updates of that launch, and we'll also be sending out schedule, whenever we have any activities, like any live broadcasts and stuff like that, we'll also go ahead and send some updates on that, send you some notifications on that. And then if you want to check out Nafisa, she's at nafisashireen.com. And for me, you can go to millionairemarketingstrategies.com, and we have some gifts there that you can go ahead and opt in for. And I think that we're at time, right?
Yeah, we're well over time. So thank all of you who stayed for so long. We didn't intend to go this long, but there definitely was a lot to say and a few surprises. And
Dane, just real quick, Dane, you said, but you also miss out on Rockstar if you only look for those that have already succeeded. I look at if they're masterful at something. Like we mentioned before when Roy was on, someone can be a fabulous chef, and then they decide to go open a restaurant, and they may not be great at running a restaurant or even getting people in the door and stuff. That doesn't make them less of a chef in my book. So if it has to do with food, then yes, I would be going to them regardless of whether they succeeded or not at their restaurant, right? So that's my philosophy. I've had some people who may not be the most known, yet they are the best at what they do, and that's who I go to. So yes, you're right.
Yeah, and I think, and on that note too, like if I that's where I said I want them to have had some success in that topic, not necessarily for themselves. That's why I said I'm not too fussed about how much money they're currently making in their business. I want to know that they have success in their expertise, whatever the envelope of that is, right? Because sometimes people will confuse the vehicle of their business because they're new in business with their expertise, and those are two different things. So like for me, when I was first starting out as a coach, when I first started, I was starting out. I was a startup. I didn't have the income, but I sure knew how to build a business. Right. So that was what my expertise was. And now obviously I have a very successful coaching practice, but I still don't view it, when I look at my clients to say, well, it's because I knew how to build this coaching business that I bring you expertise. No, I built the coaching business because of everything I had before. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Okay, perfect. Because I went from being a jet engine mechanic in the Air Force to a #1 seller in wireless completely. That's right. That's right. That's wonderful. Yeah, and there's skills, there's talent, there's your genius and your zone of genius. So
Carl, I think we need to block Rayon.
I have no idea how to do that. Yeah. Well, we're wrapping up now. So Rayon, I don't know what you need help with, but yeah. Yeah. No, we're actually not opening up the seats. We're already shutting down. So, but send a private message and let us know what you need. If I can point you in the right direction, I will. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you so much, and we'll let you know when we have the next one up. And thank you for hopefully next time you guys can hop in with us as well.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, awesome. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Bye.
Bye.